This is the Stash, and you're listening to the Business Bottom Line podcast coming to you from the Jewel City of the Mountains, Greenville, Tennessee. We're in the foothills of the Smokies talking business with people just like you who are responsible for the bottom line, sharing business tips to inspire, inform, improve, and grow. Turn your bottom line from red to black. And we have a special guest today, so tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Jimmy R. Collins, Jr., born and raised in Greenville, Tennessee. I own 3 businesses in Greenville, Tennessee, and that's Caspers Body Shop and Record Service, LLC, Caspers Environmental, LLC, and FireX Extinguisher Sales and Service, LLC.
So that's why you've got all this free time, Jimmy. You don't have anything to do.
Yeah, I penciled that in.
Jimmy got so many businesses he had to write them down because they might be hard to remember.
Yeah, that's true.
You're a busy dude.
Yeah.
Well, I always ask this interesting question that has no validity in anything. Are you an iPod, iPhone, or Android user?
I'm an iPhone.
You're an iPhone user.
I can't explain it, but that's where I've stuck with it, and I'm like that. If they say you can't change, I don't even like one of my employees handing me an Android.
That's funny because that's so true, and that's one of the reasons I ask that question, because people are very particular about that, and most time they don't change. If they do, there's something terrible happens. So you either one or the other, and you get used to that world. So it has no validity in business. You can use what you want, but it's always interesting about that.
It's true, and a lot of business that you get in, you're forced to Android, or Microsoft, versus you can't use the iPad.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened to us. We're all Android users. I have one convert from an iPhone, but it's just because of the systems that you use, and they're not conducive to that as well. They are now, but in the early years they weren't. No. So you kind of got started, and there you are. You know, you stay. So introduce us to your families. Tell us a little bit about your family, Jimmy.
Basically, it's just me. My mother came to live with me about 3 years ago. She lives at home with Jack Russell, and McCall, which is my Yorkie. And I've got one daughter, Sienna Hinkle, and she has a daughter, which is my grandbaby, which is Malin Hinkle.
Okay.
And I've got a girlfriend I've been seeing now for about 4 years. It's Shanna Waddell.
Okay. So you've got a lot of people involved in your life then.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
You do. That's good. That's good. Granddaughters are special, or grandkids are special, I should say.
Kids grow up fast.
They do. They do. I don't know what happens to the time, but you turn around, and I remember singing to my 41-year-old daughter. Now be careful in the bathtub when she was a baby, you know. The time, it just flies by.
It goes by fast.
It's hard to imagine where it went. So do you have a favorite book that you've read somewhere along the way, or one you're reading now? Are you a reader?
No, not really. I'm more of a magazine type person.
Okay, you read articles.
Yeah, articles, and mainly stuff that goes along with business.
Yeah, okay.
You know, whether it's in a wrecker line or a hazmat line.
And that's a lot of reading just to keep up with what's going on.
Yes, a lot of training upkeep each year.
Yeah.
In service, I guess you would call it.
Yeah. And certifications, which means you got to renew and update.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I have a little bit of inside info on some hobbies, but tell us some hobbies that you have.
Well,
with all your spare time.
Yeah. Since I've been expanding in the last few years, my hobbies have sort of cut down. I know as sitting in the room, the young man here, I flew with the Young Eagles. I am a private pilot, and I do have a motorcycle and a boat. Like I say, in the last 4 or 5 years, I've not got to use that as much. I think it's been over 2 years since I've been in a plane.
Oh my goodness, Jimmy!
But we've been expanding into different counties, and it's took a lot more of my time.
Yeah.
And then with COVID hitting, we sort of focused on those different locations to get them set up the way we wanted them set up. So mainly flying's my passion, and riding motorcycles, what I'd be doing if I had time.
Now tell us what's under them 2 wheels when you get on it.
Under it.
Yeah. What's it made out of? Is it what kind, in other words?
Oh, Harley. I'm an ultra classic Harley. I got a 100th anniversary ultra classic Harley.
I thought that's what it was.
Yeah. I bought it new think in '05.
Okay.
I swapped from a Honda to that to take longer trips. And
Will you ever go back to Honda?
probably not. Well, I may. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like the Go Wing. I don't
yeah.
know that I'll ever purchase another motorcycle. I mean, I've got probably $60,000 in a motorcycle. It's worth $12,000. But it is nice. I mean, I've been to Sturgis, all the major bike rallies, and a lot of road trips. So I mean, I've put about 60,000 miles on it. So,
Wow. Yeah.
So,
but that's what makes it fun owning one, though, if you
yes.
ride it.
Yes.
If it's just in the garage, it's not so much fun.
No, it hasn't been fun the last 2 or 3 years.
Well, tell me now, if money was no object, in other words, all those businesses were running themselves, and you was just collecting a check at the end of the month, what would you be off doing?
I would probably have some kind of motorhome with that motorcycle in the back of it, and would be traveling.
Be traveling.
I like, as the mountain people say, loafering. I like seeing different places and just moving around.
Yeah, yeah. I know you've been a lot of places already with a motorcycle and flying, and you mentioned going to some of the big back roads. But have you been somewhere you think, I got to go back there? What's one of your favorite places you want to go back to?
I've always been attracted to Florida.
Yeah.
I like the Fort Lauderdale area down in there. I mean, it's below the frost line, I guess what most people call it.
Yeah.
You can be down there year round. I don't know that, summertime you might want to ease back up this way. But I'm sort of attracted to that. But when it comes down to it, there's no better place than East Tennessee. I mean, for the weather, you got probably 10 really, really cold days a year, and I mean, we're getting more hot days, but still yet it's not near as hot as it is in a big concrete city.
That's true.
Or jungle, as they call it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And Florida, so you like the beach? Do you actually
go
out
not as much.
Not
I
really?
just like the warm weather, and there's a lot to do down in there, and motorcycle riding's good.
Yeah. You do it anytime.
You miss the mountains, but you grew up, your whole life around the mountains. You don't miss that as much until you get gone for a few days.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy riding down there, and I mean, it's like you say, it's pretty year round.
Yeah.
Storm comes through, it's gone in an hour.
Right. Tomorrow's the new day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I remember being in Texas when I was in the military. I'd never been out of the mountains before. And so I got on a bus and went downtown in San Angelo, Texas, and got off the bus, and it was flat, like Florida, just flat. And I couldn't figure out where I was at or how to go anywhere, and it disoriented me so bad I got back on the bus and went back to base and never did see a thing. So that's my experience in the flatlands. I ain't very good there.
Not very good.
Ain't no hills, to get you bearing from.
I had a friend one time, we'd be riding motorcycle, and he was in the Navy, and we'd get down there in Florida, and he said, I don't understand how you know where you're going.
Yeah.
He said, it looks like we're riding the coastline. He said, I know we are, it's about 100 mile wide in places, but he said, I just don't understand how you know where you're going. I said, you just look up at the sun, the time of the day.
Either going to it or away from it, where you are. Yeah, it's funny how you get used to your surroundings, and you actually get bearings and things, and it's subconscious. You're not really thinking about it. The old joke that people tell about mountain people around here. They say, go down there where that tree used to be and turn left until you get past where that store used to be.
We used to be like that at EMS. A lot of people really don't remember today, especially kids. We didn't have 911 here.
Yeah.
Everything come in to a regular phone number. And that's when I worked at EMS, and one of the guys asked me, he said, you know wherever Red Barn's at? Or White House? And I said, why? He said, because you always tell us, he said, we're going in the city. You go down to that Red Barn, and you turn left, and it's just what you learn.
That's right. Well, you had to do it that way because there was no other way to do it.
Yeah, until 911 come in, they didn't even have road signs up in Greene County, So you had to know how many roads it was, or
who lived
or the
down
barn,
there. Yeah.
And it's interesting how things has changed a lot, especially with Google.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody's smart now with Google because you just ask Google, and Google knows at least something.
Put you where it thinks it needs to be.
Yeah, that's true. And always where you meant to go. That's true. Well, tell us a little bit about what it's like being you. What does a day in your life look like?
Well, I'd consider myself a workaholic. If I'm around here, a day in my life is getting up in the morning. I've got breakfast buddies that I eat with every morning. When that hour ends, go to work. In the wrecker business, and especially in the environmental spill cleanup, you're on call. The fire extinguisher is not too bad because it would be a restaurant that would catch on fire most time. That's the next day.
Yeah.
But you're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You may tell them you're going to be out, my guys, and you may get away to a UT ball game or something overnight. But ultimately, you're not going to get away from it being in the wrecker business, because with the interstate traffic and everything that goes on, I mean, it can go from just silent calm to the interstate blocked.
Yeah.
So,
which is a big deal.
So, I mean, you just basically on call.
Yeah. And so a lot of times you show up in the middle of a huge mess.
Yes.
And it's your job to
And,
clean it up.
and they'd be gone 15 minutes before it happened.
Yeah.
But, it usually don't happen that way. But,
Right.
but yeah, that's, I mean, it's just, to me, I know it sounds boring, but it's a lifelong process of being in
And
the
you've been doing records for a long time.
I've been in business January 2nd and 30 years.
30 years.
And of that, I've been doing records 27.
Wow.
So,
And I've heard you talk about when Sienna was little, about those times when you grab her.
Oh, yeah.
And go out on a call.
Yeah, I raised her. I mean, she was in the bedroom across the hall from me when the phone rang at 2 a.m. and she heard next schedule. She was up because she knew she needed to be in the record. She was being left. But yeah, she's grew up. I mean, she's got in trouble at school, telling tales about wrecks and stuff. And the teacher said, "You can't make this stuff up." And me have to go in and say, "Yeah, she seen this on the side of the road last night." Because she was with me. She
Right.
didn't realize her daddy was in the record business.
Right.
Thought she was making up tales about car wrecks that happened on 107 at 2 a.m. But yeah, it's been an interesting life growing up, raising a kid in the wrecker. My dad and stepmother, which is Jimmy Senior and Ginger, it's over at Valk Industries out there at Human Resources. She and Dad had a big deal with keeping Sienna, on the weekends, and Dad was in with me at the wrecker business about 10 years.
Okay.
And they stayed with me, and it sort of kept our weekends sort of normal, but yeah, it's been a long journey.
Those early years were tough. Weren't
Yes.
Yes. Long hours, and like you say, there was really no
Anybody that's
lifetime.
been in business knows that, and that's, to me, that's why a lot of people don't make it in business. They expect that $500 on Friday or Thursday, whatever day of the week it is. Some days you don't get that in a regular business. It may be 3 weeks before you get it, but then you hit that big lick.
Because everybody has to be paid whether you get it or not.
Yes. That's basically the black and red on the bottom. If it's red, you ain't taking nothing out. You went into the line to pay them this week.
That's right.
And anybody that's been in business has been there.
Yeah, that's why not everybody does it.
Oh, yes.
And not everybody can do it, is because their sacrifices along the way, they're very profound.
Oh, yeah. If you got a family, you got a wife and a kid, it's hard to go into a business. And when you got to provide on Friday, that's the biggest payday. When you got to provide that day and you've not made it this week, you can't do that very long.
Right. Yeah, it's got to be short-lived, or there's got to be income coming from somewhere else.
And that keeps probably a lot of people from being entrepreneurs.
I think it does.
I mean, it very well.
It's just not possible.
Because, and they can't some of them won't take the chance, and others of them can't.
Yeah, I remember those early days myself. I took a weekend job to be able to start a business and work 2 16-hour days.
Yeah, I worked, like I said, full time at EMS.
Yeah.
Until I decided one day I needed to focus on this. And I had a boss man, Roger Kelly, that was director here for years. He just told me, he said, "I hate to lose you." But he said, "You can always come back to EMS." He said, "EMS will be here 15 years from now."
Yeah.
But he said, "What you've got," he said, "you probably can't start it back up if you quit it."
Yeah.
And he's still a customer. And, it's one of those things, enjoyment that he comes in. He says, "I remember the day you turned in your notice." And he said, "You've done really well."
Yeah.
And it's proud to hear somebody tell you that when you're in business.
That's right.
But to me, after 30 years, I figured that it would be easier.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's the same routine. but it don't get a whole lot easier.
Yeah, because it still takes your personal focus for it to work.
Yes, I mean it's just and employees.
And I know you have good people, but it's still not their business, and so it's different, and it's hard to find someone.
That's exactly right. If you've got 10 people, 5 of them may be company people, and 5 of them may be paycheck people, even though they're good employees.
Yeah, right.
I had a friend ask me one time, "How do you get so many good people?" You know, you have to go through a process, and you know they say you're fast to hire and slow to fire, and that's a pretty true statement. I didn't hear that up to about 5 years ago, and that's a pretty true statement in the United States.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to find good people.
Yeah, it is. And part of the reason you can keep them, though, Jimmy, is because how you treat them.
Yes, that's 200% of it. They got to want to come to work.
That's right.
You know, I always tell people when you go to work, you got to be able. You can't, you know, even if you're a big singer, you know, you're taking care of everybody. Their life, you know, everybody think, oh, you know, Morgan Wallen, he's doing great, but he's got a lot of responsibility with his road crew.
That's right.
And he every day ain't hunky dory, you know, because he's making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't get that.
That's true.
You know, you gotta tolerate and work at your job, because everybody just ain't plumb happy at their job, but they tolerate it. So
yeah, they have to. Well, tell me what one of your big challenges is in the business in general, or something specific you think about. What's a big challenge that's kind of there in front of you as you're looking toward the future?
In my line of business right now, the challenges are the equipment. Trucks is back ordered. Miller Industries is backlogged on their chassis. A lot of people that dealt with Harleys know that you paid $1,000 down and got a VIN number, and all Harleys was custom built before '03, and you got it in a year. That's almost the way wreckers are now, and equipment. You just don't go out. You know, 2 years ago, I went out. If I wanted a wrecker in the morning, I would have bought it. Now I've got to plan out 3 months, 6 months. If I want a large wrecker, I got to go out 18 months.
Wow.
To get. And it's hard when you've got contracts, you're trying to expand. Like we have been in the last few years. You just can't get that kind of equipment. And it seems like it's hitting every market, you know, from the grocers on down. There's something that you're going to be short on. And that's our biggest problem right now. We just can't get equipment in.
Get equipment. Yeah. So that the people part you're doing okay with.
Yes.
Which is not normal in today's world, Jimmy.
No, I mean I could do backflips for the people that I've got. We went through some people in the last 2 years expanding. Probably got one of the best wrecker crews probably in the state of Tennessee. Sure I get asked that question a lot. How do you recruit them? But you got to treat them right. You got to have benefits. I mean, you know, you're a big part of our benefit program, from retirement to all that stuff there. I know you can't start out as a business owner doing that, but it's not hard to start a simple IRA matching 3%. If they'll put 3, you put 3. You know, if people make $1,000 a week, that's just investing $30 in them if they'll invest it in themselves.
Right.
So, you know, and that program don't cost you anything but the 3%.
Right.
And it's easy to add stuff like that to get them to stay. And people today, they pay attention to benefits, especially health care insurance.
Yeah. And the better the employee, usually the more they pay attention. In other words, people that are serious about how they live, those things really mean a lot to them.
Oh, yes. And you'll even get the younger crowd. Used to, a 25-year-old wouldn't be interested in health care insurance. If they watch their parents went through an episode or something, they really pay attention to that because it can bankrupt you overnight.
Yes, it can.
If you don't have health care insurance.
Yeah, that is so true. That's so true. Well, put this into context. If you had to say, what I do helps people, how does it do that? How does what you do in your business, in your mind, how does that help people?
Well, we're trying to take them off. I don't know what you'd call it, a tragedy or whatever, but if you come to see me, there's nothing good happen about it. You've got a car tore up. You've got a car wreck. A car broke down. Because most people say it ain't good to see you. But basically, you're trying to help them through a time that they're trying to get. They don't know. A lot of people don't know about wrecks, and it's if you can help them through that, or help them get their family off the side of the road.
Yeah.
I mean, give them comfort.
Yeah.
And safety to get them in that. It's a big, big
Well,
plus for us.
I know we've had our own experience using your service. And my wife said the other day, she said, that was the most pleasant thing. And we were on the side of the road needing care, but it was because of how your people dealt with it and how they treated us that it felt like a good thing, even though it was a problem.
It makes you feel good when you look at the review system on our tow book. When people tell you certain things like that, or you took care of my kid, or you got our car seats in the back of your wreckers, it makes a big proud moment of the morning when you see that come in. Especially when it's like a 4.9. Yeah, it really makes it interesting.
You covet those responses, and so it's a big stroke.
Hard to satisfy people in today's world.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, if you were going to give a bottom line business tip, and that's the name of our podcast, what would be your bottom line tip to somebody that's out there in business that wants to grow, or maybe getting started in business? What would you tell them?
My biggest thing is I always tell people success only comes before work in the dictionary. I'll say that a lot. Don't give up. Continue on. Just because somebody or something beats you down, you got to get up and go try. I told one of my employees the other day about a CDL test. Why ain't you got them? Well, I said, don't even tell me that. It's because you're scared of failing. I said, everybody's scared of failing. I said, you can always take a test over. I said, they teach you that in school. You fail a test, it's bad. Your parents are going to be on you. But I said, just keep your head up. I said, if you get knocked down, get back up and just keep walking forward. That's the best thing I could tell anybody in business. Just because you lose money, you got to get up and you got to keep going. March forward.
Yeah, that's great advice, Jimmy. Great advice. Don't quit, because if you haven't failed, you probably haven't done anything.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
So you got to overcome it by keeping going. Well, that's a wrap for today's Business Bottom Line podcast. Take that tip and make your bottom line turn from red to black. And see you next time right here in the Jewel City of the Mountains, Greenville, Tennessee. This is the Stash saying we're here to inspire, inform, and improve your bottom line so you can grow, and grow.